Asherlow. It's a big grand.
Well, Lord and Jesus, aren't we back again? It's another episode of Sure It'll Be Grand. That super special Irish-led podcast featuring me, Owen, and Dan. Dan is also here. What's up, Dan?
Yeah, I'm definitely not tired, and I'm very wide awake and clear-minded.
Yeah, that's a true statement that you've just made, I think. Dan is the most awake he's ever been.
Yeah, I'm so alert, and like I'm not waiting for my brain to give me any sort of basic sentence structure.
No, but look, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We don't have it's not like we're watching a super highly intelligent movie.
I'm the one who's meant to be tired, is this?
Okay, we're both a bit tired, okay?
It's the weekend, lads.
Yeah, look,
Come
it's
on.
the weekend. It's the weekend as we are recording this.
Yeah,
by the way.
And it's definitely early in the day.
Yeah, sure. It's before 3 p.m, so that's early to some people. Anyway, this week we're back with another regular. Well, it's a regularly scheduled episode, but it's not the usual thing because we're doing a listener request.
We are.
The second one we did on the show. This one came into us from a friend of mine, Richie. Shout out him. He sent us 2 requests. In fact, one of them I looked at and immediately went, "There's not a fucking chance."
Yeah, you sent to me, and I was immediately the same.
We were both. There's not a chance I would put myself through watching that movie. So we chose to do this one instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, it wasn't one of those things that, oh, this is a terrible example, this is a not so terrible example. Well, this movie actually kind of looked fun.
Yeah, it has it definitely has all the trappings of things that we would enjoy also.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'll tell you what the movie is before we go any further into it. The movie Richie chose for us to watch is 1990's Darkman.
Yeah.
Which is a comic book movie, sort of.
Yeah, it's definitely in the spirit of a comic book movie. Maybe a comic book movie from the 1960s, that kind of feel
Yeah,
to
like
it.
it's not actually based on a real comic.
Yeah.
But it's like...
It's not an anime, you know, because it wasn't made in the anime province of Japan.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It was not. Yeah,
it's not the style of a comic book movie and a comic book in general. So, yes, it's not a comic book originally, though it is now. But I would still consider it like a comic book styled movie, at least.
No, it's 100%. It's basically Spider-Man. So Darkman came out in 1990, directed by Sam Raimi, who everybody knows and loves from the Spider-Man trilogy, from the Evil Dead franchise, which we were just discussing before we started recording. I've never seen any of it. I'm fairly sure. I've never seen any of the Evil Dead. I'm aware of it. I know that it's supposed to be good. I know Bruce Campbell made his cameo in Darkman, and I went, "Oh, holy shit, it's Bruce Campbell! Hey, that's cool." I get that,
and it's definitely a horror movie. I think you'd watch as well, because yes, it's horror, but like after the first one, it's quite campy, fun horror too.
Well, yeah, I mean that's how I've always thought of it in my brain.
Yeah, the first one is a little bit spooky.
You know, everything I know about it has never informed me that it was supposed to be a horror movie. But you know, maybe someday we'll get to that. Maybe we'll start. Last time when we did Face Off, I said, "Hey, maybe we're gonna start looking into more John Woo films. Maybe now we'll start looking at Sam Raimi movies and we'll start doing the Evil Dead." Look at all these plans I'm giving us.
Yeah, so we'll definitely put them down on paper.
Yeah, we'll write that down. Jot that down. So, Darkman.
There you go. The sound effects, man. You're not the only one who does the sound stuff here.
What was that supposed to be?
A pencil on paper.
That you just like thumped your fingers off a desk, and that's what pencil sounded like.
Scratching my nail on the table. I guess it didn't come off as that.
No, it sounded like you were like fumbling with something. To be honest.
Well, that's how I write. So
yeah, your calligraphy it's obvious in your handwriting. Yeah. Darkman, released 1990, directed by Sam Raimi, produced by Robert Tappert. Screenplay by Sam Raimi, Ivan Raimi, Chuck Farrer, and a bunch of other people that they brought in to do like rewrites and
invite everyone to come in and say, "Here, look, let's have a look at this." Is it?
The studio basically halfway through the writing thing, the studio were kind of like, "We could be onto something here. This has franchise potential." So they brought
this
in
is
like
total shit. Okay.
yeah, they brought in like a bunch of random people to like add some dialogue and make it more like Hollywoody, I guess, I suppose.
Yeah. Which
is
it
the
isn't.
term. Yeah, not really.
No.
Not when it came out, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well, except the helicopter chasing. That's very Hollywood.
Darkman stars Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand, Colin Friels, I hope I said that right, Larry Drake, and Ted Raimi, Sam's brother, is in there briefly. He has a little
Larry
part.
Drake is a cool name.
Larry Drake, that's who plays Robert G. Durant, the
man who comes back in Darkman 2.
the henchman villain. Yeah, he's not.
I say with superiority, even though the IMDb page is just open in front of me and his face is there, and the movie's called The Return of Durant.
Yes. So this movie had this was Sam Raimi's first instance in Hollywood, so it had a decent budget. $14 million was the budget that he was given by Universal Pictures
And it looks
to
like
make
it.
this movie, and it actually did well. It got back about 50 million at the box office.
Oh,
worldwide.
so
it was
it made money.
That's why they got to make two sequels: Darkman 2: The Return of Durant, and Darkman 3: Die, Darkman, Die. No, I'm saying the Darkman, the. So those are the two sequels, and there you go. That's all you need to know off the top. Let's get started. Let's do what the hell is going on here.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
So what's going on in Darkman? Well, some backstory for Darkman first of all. So Sam Raimi, this was his first like studio movie that had a big budget. So prior to this,
it's an indie basically.
Prior to this, he had done Evil Dead, like the first two Evil Deads, whatever they're called. It might be Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, or maybe one of them is called Ash versus Evil Dead. Or
Let's not embarrass ourselves for lack of knowledge of Evil
whatever.
Dead.
He did a couple of those, and they were like, indie successes. People quite liked them. They're culty movies. They were at the time.
They got a TV series many years later. Like
they're big movies. People like that franchise. So he'd done them, and Universal were like, all right, let's go. Let's get Sam Raimi to make a movie. Sam Raimi wanted to make a superhero movie. That's what he wanted to do. Big time. He was like, I want to make a superhero movie. What he wanted to do was he either wanted to make a movie based on The Shadow, or he wanted to make a Batman movie. He couldn't get the rights to either of them. Couldn't get the rights to Batman, probably because at this time, Tim Burton was busy making Batman.
Yeah.
For
he sure was making something
at this time, because that came out 1989. So
yeah,
he was never going to get the rights to Batman. They were busy. They were being made already. A Batman movie.
Very different to what's happened nowadays when you can have multiple Batman and live action movies on the go. Kind of.
Yeah, it's which is kind of the way it's. You would have seen that in like more in cartoons and stuff prior, and a lot longer. You'd have it's no problem with there being multiple different instances of a superhero that aren't related. Because
kids aren't idiots; they understand their separate canons.
Yeah, but also they don't care. I don't think they're mostly
like,
they're just like,
Batman's in this.
Yeah, Batman's in this. Okay, cool.
There's no sophisticated kids saying, "Excuse me, actually, that doesn't make sense." In Batman, the third episode of the sixth season, Batman did this.
Yeah, but you know what? You're saying that. I feel like you were like that as a kid, maybe.
No, actually, I wasn't. I just loved that. I actually tied all sort of continuity together to make it sense in my head. I loved doing that.
So if they had been all continuityized, you would have liked it then.
I would have tied them together and kind of went, oh, that's weird. He did that, but okay, cool. I would have just gone with it. I really would have.
I think most kids don't really give a shit. It's just like, they like the character and they like the costume, and if he's in a movie, they'll just watch it. But that's what he wanted to do. Sam Raimi wanted to make Batman. So, I mean, what the hell would a Sam Raimi Batman movie have been like? Probably just like this.
First of all, you melt Bruce Wayne's face off.
You melt Bruce Wayne's face in a freak fire accident. Wasn't even okay, so it wasn't an accident, all right? Darkman, I guess, will tell you who Darkman is, this movie.
Yeah.
So this is Sam Raimi wanted to make a superhero movie, couldn't get the rights to the ones he wanted to make, so he was like, fuck it, we'll do it live. And he wrote his own thing. He had written like a short story about this character, I think, previously, and he was like, let's just do that. Let's make a Darkman thing. And his initial concept for Darkman was all he had in his mind was a man who can change his face. That's what he wanted. It was a man who wears different faces and can pretend to be people and whatever. And then him and I think his brother Ivan, who was writing the screenplay with him, kind of fleshed it out. And he said the more he kept writing the character, the more he thought this is the Phantom of the Opera, is kind of what I'm
Yeah.
writing here. And Darkman became this kind of melding of the Phantom of the Opera comic book stuff and like Universal monster movies from the 1930s. There's a lot of like Frankenstein and stuff in it.
There's a lot of Frankenstein. There's also the Invisible Man touches
Yeah.
there too.
There's
Yeah.
and you can the 100% you can see it in some of the shots as well, that it's
Mm.
very like 30s like weird.
Yeah, love it. It's really
stuff.
cool.
It's cool.
as
It's
well,
very
like.
highly stylized, as Sam Raimi
Yeah, yeah.
loves to do. So it's great. But Darkman is AKA Peyton Westlake, Dr. Peyton Westlake, played by Liam Neeson in honestly the weirdest I've ever seen Liam Neeson get with a part. To be honest,
Yeah, this is pre Schindler's List. This is pre when I actually know I'm an authentic actor now.
yeah, this is because he went from this, then he got Schindler's List, and he was like, no, I'm a real actor. I only work with the best. I only work with Scorsese and Spielberg and the likes. And then
then
that fell apart, and he started doing Taken and went back to where he belonged. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. No, I mean, no. Okay, Liam Neeson is a fantastic actor.
No, he's
Not good at accents.
not good at accents at all. He can barely do his own accent because he's from Belfast.
Yeah.
So like,
It's like he's on a surf. It's literally like being on a wave when he's speaking in this movie because he tries American accents and they always come in at the beginning. You can hear the little American tinge at the beginning. Then he slips down into Liam Neeson and he comes back up as American at the end.
yeah,
And the shorter sentence, the more believable it is because you only hear the American notes. But longer sentence, he just starts rambling and
yeah, he'd go, and that's kind of just his voice now. I think there's
Yeah.
like tinges of American to his Irishness, and it's like the very slightest hint of like northern accent, like
Yeah.
just there in
Yeah,
some words.
It depends. When you see him, like I saw him like on the Late Show there years ago, and he was on with what's his face,
The Late Late Show.
Gleason. Gleason was on as well,
Donald
and
Gleeson.
and
Or Brendan
I
Gleeson.
think the older one.
Brendan is the dad. Yeah,
Brendan Gleeson,
Donald's the red-haired one from Star
Donald
Wars.
has been on so much now that like his name is fixed in my head now as well. He's done something himself now, but both of them were on the Late Show and they were talking, and that's what I heard him speak in his most authentic Northern accent because they're both.
Because he was on Irish television.
Yeah, with that and Brendan Gleeson. Where's Brendan Gleeson from again? Isn't he?
He's from Dublin, I think.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's from Dublin.
I had a feeling that they were talking about both being from the north in some ways.
No, Brendan Gleeson born in Dublin, went to college in Dublin,
right.
lived all his life in
Okay.
Dublin.
Oh, fair. Yeah, but I think him just talking to Brendan Gleeson, who has a very thick Irish accent, and he has never let that behind.
No, it's worked
Yeah.
for him. Why would he?
Yeah, so that's the closest I've ever heard him go pure Irish again. Like,
Yeah, but that's besides the point. Peyton Westlake, Liam Neeson plays Peyton Westlake, who is a doctor of some sort, presumably medical, given what he's doing. He is trying to develop a synthetic skin that can be basically grown in a lab and then placed on burn victims to replace their burns.
replace lasers.
Replace the skin that they've lost. He has like a 3D printer for this thing that makes a
But it's
skin
not
out of glue. It's like, it's not even a printer. It's literally just like a hologram, and then it becomes real. It's very high tech.
Yeah, they really go into the science of that one.
Very high tech.
Yeah, and imagine like it is also very precise because 99 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the flaw that they can't figure out. That when the skin that they've created, when it's exposed to light, it only lasts for 99 minutes. That's as long as they've been able to get the skin to last, and then it just melts.
Do you think it takes like a flash of light and then it's just 99 minutes no matter what, even if it's dark? Because they stuck to that 90 minutes constantly, but he was outside, he was in the shadow, everything.
No, because at the start of the movie, when they discover that it's light that's causing it, he's looking at it under the microscope and all the lights are on, and it's only because the power goes out and the lights turn off that it then stays longer than the 99 minutes.
Okay, right. I think they kind of broke that rule a few months in the movie.
Who knows? Who knows? But that's the thing. He's making a synthetic skin. He himself falls victim to a rogue arson incident. Basically,
Yeah.
some gangsters blow up his lab because they're looking for a document that would allow them to build a city or some fucking random comic book shit. And he gets like 5th-degree burns all over his body and his face, and his hands are melted. He's got no lips. He's in the hospital. They
No
perform
lips read done well.
yeah, they perform a surgery on him where they cut the nerves of his spinothalamic tract in his brain, which is, according to the movie, the nerve
Pain.
center that controls pain in the body. And this is apparently a new treatment that they're using on burn victims so that they don't spend the rest of their life screaming in agony.
Oh yeah, that's when the doctor starts stabbing him, saying, "Haha, look, he can't."
Yeah,
feel
the
pain."
doctor walks in and says, "Look, he can't feel anything," and just stabs him with a scalpel. She's clearly an incredible medical professional.
Yeah, she's also very delicate because as she walks out, she's just like, was it? She just keeps making, "Oh, we hope that they do well, but most likely they're gonna die," and all this kind of stuff. It's like, my God, you walk through a ward of burn victims. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, but the surgery, because he can't feel pain, he can't feel tactile input. Essentially, he has no sensory input. This gives him enhanced strength because his adrenal glands are overloaded or something. It's kind of iffy in the movie. They say it, and like on an occasion he seems stronger than other people, but like sometimes he's not. So it's a weird one. I don't know if
it just makes sense. You don't feel the pain in your muscles either when you're lifting something.
Yeah,
that's the big thing that stops you from lifting certain things.
Yeah.
He goes, "Ow, ow,
Yeah,
ow."
that's it. He's Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America. That's it. Yeah, that's
That's
actually
who he
the
is.
original backstory for Captain
This
America.
is Captain America. He's one of the failed experiments to create Captain America, to recreate the super soldier serum.
Honestly, I kind of love it.
Yeah, that's probably what he is. But he's dead. Also, the whole fact that he's like has no skin and he's burned and can't feel pain makes him go crazy. It heightens all of his emotions. He goes crazy. All he wants is revenge on the people that did this. He becomes Darkman. He uses his synthetic skin to pretend to be people and frame them for stuff and then just kill people and stuff.
And the thing is, right, he has some crazy moments where he like starts beating things, and I kind of went, Jesus, he's sane. And then I kind of reevaluated that and says, actually, these are perfectly measured responses to everything that's happened to him.
Yeah, no, we were saying this while watching it, that like people are like, Jesus, he's lost the plot. You're supposed to think he's gone crazy. But we were both kind of like, I mean, he's having a very appropriate response to everything that's happened to him, to be quite honest. He's lost his
I thought he would have been
skin.
worse.
He has lost his skin. I think going a little bit mad is kind of okay.
Yeah, as a treat,
Yeah, Liam Neeson can go a little bit crazy as a treat. Wait, no, can't say that in light of other things.
No,
anyway, speaking of Liam Neeson, so Liam Neeson spent 18 hours on certain days, not in total. That would not be a lot. There were some on many days during filming. He would spend up to 18 hours in this prosthetic special effects and makeup that they applied to him. And he said,
I know you're a bit claustrophobic.
I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be able for it, which is what I was going to ask. Is like, so Liam Neeson said that at the time. Now he didn't do the sequels, so you can imagine that he didn't actually enjoy it. But he said at the time that was part of the reason why he wanted to do the movie, because he was like, that's a challenge for me as an actor to work in that kind of setting, to work in makeup, and he spent a long time trying to figure out how to talk and how to act with the prosthetics on, and specifically how to speak when he had no lips.
He does brilliant acting with his eyes in this movie, especially when you still see the burns on him and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of like sympathy and sadness in the eyes. It's really good.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and it is very like old, like silent movie acting at times as well. I mean, he's screaming and stuff, but you can see the intense close-ups from something like Frankenstein or like mummy movies from the 30s and 40s and stuff. But I guess what I was wondering is, because you always hear stories about like actors who, and especially now it's more prevalent with like comic book movies in particular, actors who have had to spend a lot of time getting into costumes or makeup and stuff like that. I mean, you'd have Karen Gillan to play Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, shaved her head and then has to every day get into this ridiculous process that takes hours just to get ready.
And the thing, it's not just makeup on her face. That's like a rubber mask from most of her
like
head,
it's crazy. And you hear like even Jennifer Lawrence had to do it for the X-Men movies to play Mystique, and she hated every single second of it. And that
explains why they had that part hidden of her so much as well.
That was because after the first one, she was a huge star. So now they were like, we want maybe have her face in it more than her hidden behind the blue thing. But she hated it, and you could see that in her acting because she was just fucking phoned in. She just was not present for most of it. She hated playing that part. And I suppose the big one that I suppose we know about is John Rhys Davies, who plays Gimli in The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh fuck, poor man. He was blind for most of it.
He had a severe reaction to the prosthetics that he had to wear to play Gimli. To the point where he was in pain. He couldn't really see properly.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's the only member of the Fellowship who didn't get the matching tattoos that they all got at the end of filming.
Yeah. He felt he just wasn't part of it because he was in so much.
It was just wasn't the same experience for him for much of it as the rest of them. But
saying that, I don't think he has any contempt for the movies. Like he still shows up and talks, and he seems to have loved his time with the actors.
He definitely did. It was just the makeup thing was just a pain. He was just in pain for a lot of it, which is like fair fucking play to him for going through it and still doing it. But like,
I was thinking about that. Especially one thing that got me with Liam Neeson, how obviously they made it so that his lips are like thinner and all that, so that his teeth are more bared. And I know there's tricks and all that, but all these sort of horrible things have to go through makeup. That kind of stuff is probably going to go out the window in the next 10 years. They're going to have because if you look at all the AI stuff we have these days, even just as hobbyists, where we can track things in our home computer onto people's faces, give it 10 years of development, and I don't think we'll have to go that much into the makeup, like bare bones makeup. We even have it already, kind of. If you look at Vision, the TV series, all he had was blue paint on his face in the black and white versions and a few dots, and they applied a lot of the skull parts digitally to him.
Yeah, I mean it's on the way out, I would say. It's going
to be one of the things of old Hollywood in the future going like, oh, geez, you went for that, that's mad.
Yeah, and like you already hear of not just like makeup and prosthetics in general, like even just like in-camera, like non-digital effects. It's always like noted now if a movie like did not use CG to create something, if the monsters were actually built, or if they actually made the set, or that person was actually in makeup.
I'm not trying to say it's going to be better because of it, because I think practical effects are so important.
I mean the common opinion would be at the moment in cinema culture would be the practical effects are superior and they look better, but that will probably slide away the more, like, the better the CG gets and the more real they make it look.
I also think it's a flawed opinion anyway, because there is plenty of CG that people don't even cop. The best way to do it, and it's always been the best way to do it, is to have practical effects and then boost it with special effects, and then it's grand. That's how you should do it. And that's how a lot of good movies do it.
I mean, speaking of digital effects,
yes,
right? This movie uses a lot of blue screen.
Yes, it does.
And it is awful. It looks like bad. I remember when I was in first year in college, they were teaching us how to chroma key and how to use a green screen effect.
Yeah.
I'm 90% sure the very first attempt we made at just doing like a weather report against a green screen looked way better than this. We didn't have a fucking clue what we were doing.
I mean, I didn't even notice until you met. Well, I didn't notice a lot, especially like when they did fadeaway scenes to another scenes with the same person. I think his girlfriend, like, she was like shocked, and then they did a fadeaway scene with her at the funeral. And it was awful. But the worst scene was when they're in the skyscraper and they had the city view on a balcony behind them. And I didn't copy that at first. I was just watching, yeah, good movie. And then you went, no, Dan, look near the crane, look for artifacts, like little black spots. And suddenly it was like a snowstorm.
They were everywhere in that scene in particular. But even there's like the scenes of Darkman hanging from the helicopter. Some of them looked real. Some of them were definitely done with a stuntman.
I was really impressed with the audio they did. Like they decided to. He kept saying, "Get away! Get away from me!"
Sanctuary. Like some of those scenes didn't look terrible. Some were clearly done with a stuntman and looked fine. Others weren't. There's a scene of him, like it's like the Batman. You know, the Batman animated series, like the end of the thing before the logo comes up when he's like standing in the building, like against the moon.
Yeah.
They kind of went for that shot of Darkman like standing on a rooftop or like the roof of a. That was blue screened for some reason, and you could see like a white outline around Darkman. It just was like, clearly the technology is not here yet for us to be doing this, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Completely not relevant to anything you just said. The amount of alleys in this movie.
There's a lot of alleys in. There's a lot of alleys in early 90s movies, I think.
And Raimi as well, like especially
Raimi,
like some of his best Spider-Man things are.
Yeah, I mean let's maybe we'll talk about Sam Raimi then.
Yeah, just
why not? Because he's here. A lot of people love Sam Raimi. Like, I think it's he's made a lot of good movies. He hasn't made a lot of movies. He's not like super prolific as a director or anything. But his movies are always like super highly stylized. He really, really leans into stylistic shots and angles and like weird framing and odd sort of choices when you look at them first and you think, why has he chosen to shoot that from? Why has he put the camera there? It's so weird. Even if he's just filming like a back and forth conversation,
like he'll put
the camera in the coffee cup or something, and it'll just be like, what? And I know other directors do it. I mean, obviously other directors, he's not the only one that does this.
I guess is why he did such a good job with Spider-Man, because that's comic book artists do that all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's built for taking an actual panel of a comic book and just taking it, reenacting it straight in the camera. He just he doesn't go, okay, this is what it looks like in the comic, but I'm doing a movie. Movies are different. I have to shoot this differently. He just goes, right, there's the comic panel. It looks cool in a comic. I'm doing that in the movie, and he just slaps it on, and it's like, oh, cool, and it works. Some people probably won't work for. Some people will be like, ooh, looks weird, but I think it's great.
I think if you watched a lot of his movies, you'd probably be a bit like, if you watched it in quick succession and you were just a casual fan, you'd probably get sick of it. You go like, oh, okay, right, man, you're just doing it stupidly now. But all the same, you kind of look at it and goes like, all right, we get it. You can put a camera there. Fair enough. Fair play to you. Blah blah blah. But it's not that. I just think he wants to put a stamp on it. He wants to do something that's uniquely him. He believes framing things this way works for him. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be the first one to say, like, not everyone should do movies the way I do them. Please don't,
No. And he also didn't think Darkman was great.
Oh, that's a shame.
I think what he said was that there was a lot of studio interference. Okay, so when they were in the editing room, Sam Raimi and the editor had a big falling out, apparently, because Sam Raimi called in and was like, looked at how the edit was progressing and saw it, and he was like, you're not following my storyboards. You're not editing the movie the way I built it. This is not my movie, kind of thing. It was like, what are you, like, you've added some weird stuff. You've cut the movie weirdly. Here are my storyboards. Follow them. This is my movie. And the studio were kind of like, no, come on, Sam. We need to make this a thing. We need to make it a Hollywood movie, not just like, you're not doing a little indie project anymore. This is a big thing. So that he was like, he was like, it's not. it's not really it's not really what I don't think it's a great movie, but the marketing campaign was flawless because Universal built this marketing campaign prior to the movie coming out where they were like, we don't really want to spend any money on marketing, but we want the movie to do well. So they literally, their entire campaign was based on a single question, and the question was, who is Darkman? And
nice.
all they would have, the posters were just like single shots of Neeson with the head wrap on, like in shadows and stuff. Couldn't really see his face, you could just kind of see his eyes, and he had the big coat on. And what they did was they went all in like cities in America. They put up, it was like a guerrilla marketing thing. They put up like little posters that just said, who is Darkman? And like passed out like flyers and left things on bus stops and stuff all around cities. That was it. It was just a question, just who is Darkman? And then eventually they were like, find out on April whatever. And because of that, people went to figure out what was going on, and that's why the movie did well at the box office.
I love it. That's actually really,
it's cool. Like,
a really fun thing to do.
It's really well done. And even Sam Raimi was like, the marketing campaign was flawless. That's the only reason the movie did well, because it's not a very good movie in my opinion, but the marketing was just ridiculously well done.
I mean, I do kind of want to see the Raimi cut. I know I made a joke there, but that'd be it would actually be nice to see, I think.
Do you think it's possible for us to talk about movies anymore without just being like,
I think anytime there's a big, massive problem with Hollywood, I think if anything, it might actually push Hollywood to cop on a bit more with directors. I'm not saying it's a cure. I'm not saying it's going to definitely happen, but I think Hollywood's going to be a bit more delicate now. Saying, okay, look, let's not get too involved in case they stop.
They released 14 minutes of deleted scenes from the Warcraft movie this week.
I saw, yeah.
Release the Warcraft. I don't know who directed that. Release the Warcraft cut.
Wasn't like one of the original people working on was it Dragon's Dogma 2?
Was it? Why do I have Jordan Vogt Roberts in my head? He's the guy who did Kong Skull Island. Did he do Warcraft?
Yeah, but this is about video games actually, and he was just saying like, if someone asked him, hey, Dragon's Dogma 2, you worked on those, would you have a different cut? And he just went into like a Twitter thread for what he would change and all this kind of stuff. So that's even seeping into like non-movie stuff now.
Yeah, it's just coming into everything. I suppose like with most projects, I think if you ask a director of any movie afterwards, is there things you'd change or do differently? They're all going to say, yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course I'd do that differently. Of course, if with hindsight, I'd change something. But like,
I mean, the problem would be is that if they had a vision and it was drastically changed by the studio.
Yeah, which some people do say.
That's the only valid time where you can say, hey, I'd actually maybe want to see the original cut.
Yeah.
Or the idea of it. Anyway.
Yeah, that's why the big one, I suppose, for me is Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Because David Ayer, even before the movie was released, has consistently said, this is not the movie I made. Said, I made a compelling drama about these characters, and then Deadpool came out, and the studio went, Suicide Squad needs to be that. Suicide Squad needs to be funny, an R-rated funny thing. And they like chopped it together and did reshoots, and he was like, whoa, no, I had a drama about the Joker and Harley Quinn. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So maybe.
So yeah, stuff like that would be cool. But look, I honestly, I think the Snyder thing was a one-time thing. I don't think this is going to.
Yeah, probably not. I hope not. I kind of hope not. I kind of do and I kind of don't. I don't really know.
I kind of hope that the light is shown on this bad practice, and that studios are a bit more careful and let the directors do a bit more of their own thing. If that's the only thing that comes from this, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I've broken my rule. I said I didn't want to talk about it anymore, and I just went and did it.
It's in your heart, man. It's in your heart. Just never let go.
Snyder is always in here. He lives in me.
He lives in you.
In you, Pendy. So let's talk about the guns in this movie, because people in this movie do not know how to shoot guns.
No, they absolutely 100% don't.
They have never seen a gun before in their entire lives. They don't know what's going on. There's multiple people. Fabio from the romance novels is wandering around with a gun, and he's just like, he takes this really wide set stance with his legs like 6 feet apart, like he's trying to do the splits.
Burning face on him.
And he just hip fires everything and laughs, and it's just like, what? That's not. And like the weirdest thing is, because we both remarked on it watching it, like these people there was clearly no gun training involved for these actors.
Also, especially like machine guns wise, they just kind of let them hang on like around their neck and then just shooting it, and there's no pushback on these guns.
There's
it's just like
they
hang in the air.
They also like they don't ever aim, but still sometimes hit things.
Yeah.
They just like barge into rooms and empty their entire clips into a room without knowing if anyone's even in there. But they also shoot into crowds and don't hit bystanders. It's very odd.
Here's the thing, man. Right there. Here's the thing, though. One guy has a prosthetic leg, which is a gun, so it's worth it.
Oh, it's all. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I couldn't. My first thought when that happened, because there's a scene at the start of the movie where some guy has a prosthetic leg and one of the other characters rips his leg off, and it is revealed to be a gun, and the guy with the one leg is just hopping throughout the scene. But my first instance was gun for a leg. All I could think of was Planet Terror, the Robert Rodriguez film where Rose McGowan has a gun for a leg, but her leg is just a gun.
Yeah, it's just all the way up to the hip.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I also love that first scene because they went into this place. There was like 5 of them, and they walked in, and they had meant to have no guns on them, and they're in this big, massive place at the docks, and there's probably 20, 30 people of the other gang, and he rips off that one leg and turns the tide, and everyone else gets like murdered except one. Two.
Yeah, he kills everybody except the main guy that they're there to recruit.
Yeah.
And Robert G. Durant cuts that man's fingers off.
Yeah, he sure does. And he doesn't even do this like, oh, I'm threatening you now. Are you going to change your mind? He's like, no.
He walks up, and apparently that was something that Durant and Raimi like worked on to add to the character, because they wanted him to have like a discernible like thing about him, like a quirk kind of thing almost. And they just were like, he collects fingers. That was their thing, that they decided he collects people's fingers.
I think it must have been a last minute sort of idea as well, because the way they showed his hand when they cut off one finger and the shot for the next finger, and you can so clearly see the fingers just fold.
Oh, he's just hiding it with his hand. He's just it's
funny. But like in the first one, it's not even hidden too well. In the second shot, they hide it fairly okay, because they should hide the whole entire hand. But it's just like, that's such an easy and obvious thing to pay attention to, and you kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, it's weird. But the reason I bring up the gunplay is because we all both of us remarked on how bad it was, and I was very surprised to find that they actually brought in a man named Chuck Farrer, who is an ex-US Navy SEAL, who now like produces movies and like is a consultant for army movies and war movies and stuff. It was just like, is that how they really do it? I wonder. They brought in this Navy SEAL.
All Hollywood movies lying to us. It's
all,
like, you're meant to keep to your. You're not meant to keep to your shoulder. That's silly.
No, why would you do it there? Just park it on your hip, and there's no recoil. That's how it works.
Oh, recoil! That's a Hollywood thing. It's not
they made up.
Recoil goes in the bullet. It moves forward.
They made up. Recoil is a thing they made up for Call of Duty games. All right, there's no such thing as recoil in real bullets. And I just love like U.S. Navy SEALs are wandering around somewhere holding guns like that and screaming. Oh god, yeah, it's a funny thing though.
Very strange. But I guess maybe no, because the thing is, like one thing I thought was, are they trying to like imitate like the 1940s mobster movies, where the mafia had guns and miniguns and just kind of shot it down? But even in those movies, they do it better than that. And then I realized also in those movies, those are people who are probably at war who shot guns. They probably know how to use prop guns. It's just post World War II.
I suppose it's a bit Scarface, like the way your man holds the gun. It's very like, say hello to my little friend. And
I suppose
like spraying it everywhere, but it's
intensity, like he hunches the shoulder, like, and
I don't know what they were doing with it. Really, it's just funny the way they nobody knows how to use it.
Grenade launcher came on, and like, look,
man has a sniper scope on a grenade launcher.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they do have scopes, and I'm just very ignorant. But I feel like grenade launchers don't.
I don't think like
scopes.
They're not. The grenade launcher doesn't fire the grenade like a bullet. It's not like. The velocity of the grenade is not like a bullet. It doesn't ping to a target. You just like lob it in a direction. It's like
and even if it shoots straight forward, these bullets are big. Wind itself would push it off so easily. Like, I don't know. Look, any gun nuts out there who know about grenade launcher, if we're wrong, let us know and don't come to our house.
Any gun nuts out there? I don't want gun nuts listening to my podcast. Thank you very much. Darkman
His address is.
Oh, don't dox me, please. Oh no, I don't want.
I'm not worried about the doxing with gun nuts, man.
I don't want gun nuts coming to my home or my country in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, Darkman. So, oh God, who have we not talked about? Casting, I suppose. I'm reversing a little bit. I meant to talk about this earlier, but some other people considered for the roles, because I thought when we did this with Face Off last week, it was interesting to see who the studio what thought they were going to have in this. So Raimi, of course, initially, who would you have thunk he wanted to play Darkman?
You talk about like it's an obvious answer.
As Bruce Campbell.
Oh, Bruce Campbell, yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
He wanted Bruce Campbell to do it, and then
I wouldn't have worked as well.
the studio said no. They were like, Bruce Campbell can't do this. He won't be able to pull off Darkman.
And they're right.
But they got him in as a.
No, Bruce Campbell's more comedic, and he's great. I love Bruce Campbell, but not for this role.
They got him in. They got his cameo in anyway, and so technically he did play Darkman, because his cameo is Liam Neeson with he has a disguise on. He like
No. We
Bruce
don't know
Campbell.
that. It's just the scene implies that could just been a random guy who decided to turn around.
Okay,
on
it's
the
just a
screen.
random dude who just was like, oh, turns and looks at the camera at the end.
Yes. Who
Bruce
knows?
Campbell was just an extra that day and was like, oh.
It's just, Raimi just loves Bruce Campbell so much he always puts the center of the shot by accident.
He didn't mean to. He was just like, oh, fuck it. I have to Bruce go for it, man.
Wait, no, I love it. They were like filming the scene and they actually just genuinely saw Bruce Campbell walking down saying, Bruce! And he goes, huh?
Oh?
Scene! We got it!
Yeah. But other people who were considered before Liam Neeson was cast to play Peyton Westlake / Darkman were Bill Paxton and Gary Oldman.
Oh, Gary Oldman would have been the perfect choice.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He would. Look, I love Liam Neeson, but no Gary Oldman. That's the option.
Gary Oldman would have fucking nailed this, to be honest. He would have been great.
I'm fairly sure Gary Oldman has that face because he's such a character actor. I was trying to. Sorry. Never mind.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying that Gary Oldman got into a terrible
whatever. I don't have much time for him anymore. Anyway.
Oh, what?
Churchill. Frances McDormand.
Oh, come.
As Julie Hastings, who we haven't mentioned. Frances McDormand, everybody knows Frances McDormand. More so lately, I think. For her 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, the movie that she won an Oscar for a couple of years ago, and she gave an incredible speech. Her acceptance speech at the Oscars is incredible if you haven't seen it. But the studio, Universal, wanted Julia Roberts to play that character.
I get it. 90s.
Yeah, they were almost going to do it, and then I think Pretty Woman came along, and suddenly Julia Roberts was a massive star, and they were like, oh, okay, no, we can't. Yeah, we can't do her. And then they wanted Demi Moore was considered, which could have worked also. And I think Bridget Fonda was on the list as well, but they thought she was a bit too young. But
I would say Julie Hastings, the character.
No, she's terrible. Frances McDormand didn't like her either. Frances McDormand took the role, and she's quoted as saying, "This is the first bimbo I've ever played."
Yeah, she is. She's pretty much that. There's nothing more to her except her reaction to Darkman. That's it.
She's
fucking elephant.
Well, no, don't blow her load too soon. We'll get to that in a moment.
Blow my load.
But Frances McDormand is like, she's a great actress, and more so now than she just was. It's a terrible role. It's not a good part. Julie Hastings. There's a reason we didn't mention her, I think, at all, even in discussing the movie. She's just present for most of it.
Yeah, she's
the
just
damsel.
there for Darkman to want to have some sort of revenge and come back.
Yeah,
to
pretty
life.
much. She's the damsel in distress kind of.
Absolutely, 100%. Like literally, I won't say she just walks into an alley and like 2 cars come out and take her away. Like,
yeah,
just straight up. Nothing else.
Then she pulls a Mary Jane. She's stranded on the top of a construction site while Darkman fights.
Hey, excuse me. Oh, she also hits one of the bad guys in the back of the head.
Yeah, Mary Jane did that.
Every damsel in distress ever on the planet on the Earth.
Did Mary Jane do that? No, she was just a straight up damsel in Spider-Man 3, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, that's Darkman. So let's do our Jesus moment. Listen, I think we're both on the same page here.
Yeah, we are.
Right, there's
yeah,
one. We dance to one song and one song only here. All right, the Jesus moment. There's nothing else we could have picked. The Jesus moment is the quote that Richie sent to me when he requested we do this movie. Right?
I didn't even know that. I think we come to the same conclusion.
Yeah,
anyway.
Richie, when he commented on Facebook, and what he said was, "Oh, you have to do Darkman. It's Liam Neeson's magnum opus." And then he said attached was the clip of this scene in the movie, which is what sold me on it.
I didn't even see the link. This is a genuine
right.
reaction to it.
So to set the scene, Peyton Westlake is attempting to reconnect with Julie Hastings, his lost love, who thought he was dead. He can only do so in small instances because he puts on a prosthetic of his old face, so she doesn't realize he's hideous now. But they go to the fun fair, and he decides, I'm gonna win you a prize. You know the thing at the fun fair, you would throw a baseball at 3 bottles. One of those rigged fun fair games, and.
One of those rings.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of the rigged games at the fun fair, of which is all of them.
Yes, pretty much.
But he decides, I'm going to win her this, whatever. He's like, you pick whatever you want. And he misses the first 2 shots, and then he gets thick. And this is one of the instances where his like enhanced strength or whatever rears its ugly head. Because he gets thick, and they do another close of his eyes, and he's clearly like losing his mind. He's like, I need to win this fucking blah. And he throws the baseball, knocks off all 3 things, which is not possible. And the guy is like the fun fair worker.
Carney, yeah.
I didn't want to say it because I'm not sure if that's an appropriate term, but I don't know.
The fun fair technician.
Apologies if it is. The guy who works this booth at the fun fair is kind of like, what the fuck? And he looks at me and says, no, sorry, you don't win. Your foot was over the line. And Liam Neeson's like, my foot was not over the line. What are you talking about? I'm standing right here with my girlfriend. And he slowly gets angrier and angrier, and eventually takes a pink elephant off of the wall and tries to give it to Julie. And Julie's like, I don't want the elephant. And Liam Neeson just completely loses his mind and just screams, take the fucking elephant! While they do a big intense close up of his eyes, and it's just ludicrous. It's just a wonderful scene.
He bends the fingers back and everything, and
he breaks the man's fingers. Which is
that's from his other movies, obviously.
This was he had some Taken training. Like
we have some rubber fingers left from the Evil Dead. We'll bring that along. Fine.
Oh, Sam Raimi. Yes, I was thinking Liam Neeson was like he's already.
No, Sam Raimi had 2 fingers in the back. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, Liam Neeson just has rubber fingers everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think that's the Jesus moment. Surely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It has to be. There's nothing else we could have picked. It's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I could have honestly. I thought about picking the weird blue screen in the office thing because it's just so abnormal and odd that it did it so many times.
It pales in comparison.
There's nothing quite compares to Liam Neeson screaming, take the fucking elephant at his lovelorn girlfriend, Frances McDormand. Also, while his face is kind of melting because he's been out in the light for too long. Also,
I'm not sure if it's because both actors weren't massive into the movie, but didn't really get much chemistry between the two at all.
No, not particularly. I don't think they had a lot of chance to either. Like you see them as a couple at the start, and it's kind of like Peyton proposes to her, and she's like, "What? No,
I like my own flat.
we don't even live together. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, we basically do." Like, she's like, "Nah, man, I'll think about it, okay?" And then he dies in a freak arson incident, and it's like, maybe she didn't really love him, and then he was dead, and now he's a weirdly disfigured, no skin having psychopathic murderer man. So I don't know what chance they have in the future, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to say yes to his proposal.
I imagine she's not in the sequels.
Julie, in general?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I guess the actress isn't anyway.
Oh, no. There's no, definitely. Frances McDormand is not. Julie, the character of Julie Hastings is not listed amongst the cast of the second Darkman 2 Return of Durant. So, who knows? Who played Peyton Westlake? Arnold Vosloo. Oh, it's that guy. Yeah, so well, that's kind of the thing. The sequels, I suppose we should mention briefly, yeah, because this kind of...
There are sequels.
There are sequels. This kind of spawned... It was an attempt to spawn a franchise. So there was multiple... Marvel published a comic adaptation of the movie, and then they did like a sequel thing like a couple of years later, like a short run, like a couple of episodes. Like it wasn't like a long-running series or anything. There was 2 direct-to-video sequels. Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand did not return. Robert G. Durant, the actor obviously was back. Or the character was back, but the actor, Larry Drake, who plays Robert G. Durant in the first Darkman, was the only one that came back for Darkman 2.
Do you think that's why they put him on the cover of it?
Yeah, probably.
He's still here.
I hope so. And the actor that they replaced Liam Neeson with to play Peyton Westlake in Darkman 2 was Arnold Vosloo, who people will know as Imhotep in The Mummy and The Mummy Returns.
Oh, I mean, that makes... Did the Mummy movies come out at the same time or before, or?
Oh, no. The first Mummy came out in 1999.
So do you think they had... Someone saw his weird twisted face in like 2
Darkman 2
and went, nah, wait a second. He played a good Mummy.
Yeah, he could do a guy wrapped in bandages pretty well.
I mean, genuinely... Could that
probably
be it?
It could. It honestly could be, to be honest. I don't know.
I know I'm taking a bit of a piss here, but like...
That genuinely could be how he got the part. I don't know. You know, there's a... Okay, I'll hold that. I'll hold that thought for future. Yeah, yeah, so there you go. There's sequels, lots of stuff. I think we've covered a lot about Darkman. So let's move into our final thoughts.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
So, Darkman is a movie.
Yeah, it's certainly that. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's
all right. It's so look.
Most movies that like, you're out in the pub and someone went like, "Oh yeah, like the Raimi movies. Oh, did you know he did that movie like with the lad with the bandages? You know what's his name? Dead Man or Dark Man or something."
Dead Man is what you thought the movie was called before.
Yeah, I know this is my this is a subtle reference.
No, there's no subtlety in these parts. All right, we're talking about a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, and you know you go, "Oh yeah, I did watch a movie. Yeah, that was Liam Neeson. Yeah, that was mad. Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah."
Listen, this for me has cult hit written all over it.
Right.
I can see this having a ferocious subreddit where people are like, Darkman and its sequels are Darkman is Sam Raimi's best movie. Darkman, blah blah. Darkman did everything Spider-Man did, but it did it 10 years before, and people just going crazy for fucking Darkman.
I just imagine this Spider-Man swinging through the city saying, "Get away from me!
The bells." Look, there's a lot of things. I mean, Sam Raimi is always interesting to watch. I think, like his stylized direction is usually fun. There's a lot of interesting things happening. I think like Darkman and Peyton's story of like that kind of like the breaking down of his psyche after the burn and kind of his corruption into just a crazed criminal and his eventual kind of like attempt at coming back towards being a real human again is an interesting story.
It's a cool vision. It's a really
it's like it's well trod, I think, in comic books and stuff, that kind of like anti-hero type thing. I think Liam Neeson's performance is worth a watch, to be honest, because I've never seen him do anything as just erratic as this. He really, like, he's always to me been fairly, like, he's a good actor, but I suppose I'm more used to modern day Liam Neeson, where he's he's kind of just one note and I mean,
I'm gruff and I fight wolves and.
I don't diss the grey, okay?
I mean, yeah, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
You could have said terrorists or Russians.
It's like
or
Liam
something.
Neeson started to smoke 60 a day and went, that's him.
The Grey is a really good movie.
I'm sure it is, and
Alright.
I'll watch
I
it someday.
mean,
I remember you were fawning over it
It's a
one
good
stage.
movie, man.
I'm sure it is.
But yeah, I don't know. It's Darkman. We've seen it now, I suppose. Listener request fulfilled. Please never speak to us again.
No. Absolutely speak to us again. Give us some weird other culty movie, because I'm fairly sure this is probably has a bit of a cult following anyway.
I would say so, yeah.
So yeah, please let us know more.
Please let us know. Next week on the show, we're back in action. What are we doing, Dan?
I'm going to make a reference that only a small percentage of people can. We're watching the movie that's a remake of a Doctor Who episode called Love and Monsters. Love and Monsters. We're watching Love and Monsters. It's post-apocalyptic monsters and love and fun.
Is the Doctor Who episode Dinosaurs on a Spaceship?
No, the Doctor Who episode's called Love and Monsters, and it's the one where old people get like absorbed by an absorber and his face is all over his body. It was a David Tennant episode. You might not have watched it then.
Haven't seen it. Sounds awful. Love and Monsters.
Yeah, it's genuinely considered one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who, so there you go.
We're watching Love and Monsters, the Dylan O'Brien movie that recently got released on Netflix. Love and Monsters, we're back at our usually scheduled time. Every Tuesday, these episodes come out all across the internet. Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Acast, everywhere. We're all verbal, whatever the hell verbal is. I think we're on some other platforms. Who knows? You have no excuse not to listen to us, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And thanks. I guess we got some nice comments and we got some nice feedback on the our Face Off episode, and
maybe you just like faces and them being damaged or taken off.
But the interaction, I think, from you guys has been
phenomenal. Yes.
Great recently, so let's keep that going. And I guess, on that note, bye.
Asherlo. It's a big rant.